This is start with section 1.6, which is other type 3 of solution. 8 x cubed squared x. It's the same thing. We need to find the solution. That means we need to find the value of x. Now look to this one. And always I'm telling you, when you start solving any type of polynomial, first thing you're gonna look, how many terms do you have? And when you start factoring, what's the first step always you're gonna look for? Is there is a common factor between these? How many terms? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have common factor, greatest common factor between all these terms. Of course, 2 is not gonna go here.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about the 225 here. 25 not divisible by. That means there's no greatest common factor. What's the next step? I'm gonna look how many terms do I have? How many terms do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So what do you think? What's the method when we have 4 terms?
By grouping.
By grouping. So we have 2 terms, we have 3 terms, and then 4 terms factored by grouping. I'm going to group these 2 terms and group these 2 terms together. Now let's look here. What's the common between these 2 terms? 4, 5, x squared. And then write down the leftover here. 8 divided by 4, 2, x cubed. Cancel x squared. X. Okay. Now what about 4? With the 4, that will be plus 1. X squared cancel it, that's it. Okay. Now let's look to the other 2 terms. You see that the sign in the middle is considered with the 50. So now what's the common between negative 50 and negative 25? Negative 25. Now negative 50 divide by negative 25, negative 2. The x by itself. Okay. Then 25 by 25 plus 1 equals 0. Okay, so far. Now, I see I'm in the right way to solve it because why? These 2 terms are the same. I'm going to say, okay, it's 2x plus 1. And what's the left from here?
Squared minus 25.
X squared minus 25 equals 0. Is that okay so far? Now let's look here. I can't do anything here. But what about the other one? Can I factor it more? Just this part. Can I factor this part more? So you see the first one, I'm gonna write it down, 2x plus 1.
Factor by 4.
Can I use difference between 2 squares only on this part? 4 is 2 times 2, right? I'm going to write down 2 here and 2 here. X squared. Okay. Now 25. Can I write down 5 and 5? I'm using difference between 2 squares. 1 plus, 1 minus. Now became easier. Now 3 terms, 3 parentheses. Now we're gonna solve it by using the first property we took, which is the 0 factor property. That means this one equals 0, 2x plus 1 equals 0, or 2x plus 5 equals 0, or 2x minus 5 equals 0. How are we going to solve this one? The minus 1 from both sides. X equal -1, then divided by x is going to be equal to -1/2. Same thing here, -5 on both sides. Maybe 2x equals -5, then divided by 2. X is going to be equal to -5/2. The last step here, add 5. 2x is going to be equal to 5, and then divided by 2. X is going to be equal to 5/2. Okay, so far? You'll see with the next example, I'm going to give you 2 rules to solve this one. Write down the questions here. How are we going to solve 8 x cubed minus 1? You're going to tell me how we're going to solve this one. How many terms do you have? I have 2 terms. So 2 terms, but I can't use difference between 2 squares. I have a cubed here. And I can't find a common factor. So I can take one of these x's out, so there be x squared. I can do anything. But there is 2 extra rules. It's gonna work when you have cubed. 8, can I say a number cubed, I get 8? 2 cubed, 8. X cubed, can I say the 1 cubed? Because 1 cubed equal 1. So there's 2 rules that I added here, which is when you have difference between 2 cubes or sum between 2 cubes. That's the difference between this, we have a cube, and the difference between 2 squares. The other method is called difference between 2 squares. When we have 2 squares, like this one, square, and there is minus between them. That's why it's difference between 2 squares. But now when I have a cube, I have 2 rules. The first rule, let's say x cubed, for example, minus y cubed. The rule says the cubic root for the first number minus the cubic root of the second number. Okay? Okay? This is given. The cubic root of the first number minus the cubic root of the second number, it is going to be the first number here squared, the opposite of the sign, the first number times the second number, plus the second number squared. Okay? I always remember what I'm saying. That's how I remember the rule. The cubic root of the first number, the cubic root of the second number. I'm done from this one. I'm going to work here. The first number squared, opposite sign, the first number times the second number squared. This is when you have difference between 2 cubed, okay? When we have sum between 2 cubed, this is the other rule. It's going to be the cubic root of the first number plus the cubic root of the second number. And it's going to be the first number squared, opposite of the sign, the first times the second, plus the second number squared. Okay, so far? 2 rules. That's the difference when you have a cubed, and when you have difference or sum between 2 cubes. And when you have difference between 2 squares. So be careful. Okay? Now, can I use one of these rules on this one? I can use the first one, right? Because difference between 2 cubed, I have to make sure this is a cubed, this is a cube, not just for the variable, for the number 2. The number, it's 2 cubed, okay? So you can write down 2 here as a 2 cubed x cubed minus 1 is 1 cubed. But now, when I write down this, you don't have to do this step, so you can understand what I'm doing. Now this one is still the same thing here. Now can I write down this as a 2x cubed minus 1 cubed equals 0? Can I do that? Why not? Because the cubed here for both these numbers, 2 cubed and x cubed is the same thing here. You got it? So didn't do it. The cubed here, that's why I put parentheses to tell that this cubed is for both these numbers. Okay? So now this is a cubed, this is a cube. You don't have to do this. It's just to show you. You can jump from here to here. Now, if when I use the rule, I'm gonna jump from here to here. So now the rule says 8x cubed tell me now, what's the cubic root of the first number? Oh, everything here. We have what? Yes, so what's the cubic root for everything here? 2x, yes. The cubic root for everything here, minus, what's the cubic root of 1? 1. We got it from the first parentheses. Open another one. Now I'm gonna look here, that's it, I'm done from this part. The first one squared. So what's the first one squared? Or x squared. The opposite of this sign, the first one times the second one, which is 2x. What else? The second one,
This one.
don't forget, equals 0. Okay, so far? Yes or no? Now, if you have two parentheses, how are we going to find the solution? How many parentheses do we have here? We can take the first one equals 0, the second one equals 0, the third one equals. Same thing. I'm going to take this one equals 0, this one equals 0. Maybe 2x minus 1 equals 0, or 4x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0. How am I going to solve this one? I'm going to add 1. Maybe 2x equal 1, and then divided by 2, x equal half. So this is the first solution. Now, what about the next one? How are we going to solve it? How are we going to solve the next one? Can you do the fast way? We open two parentheses and try to figure out. You do that? We have 4 here, we have 1 here. What do you think? Can you do that? Open two parentheses.
Yes, we could, what you call it? Yes. On the AC method.
Which is that's what I meant. The fact, oh, you want to do the AC method? Like you want to open two parentheses equals 0. What are you going to add down here? 2x, and there's 2x here. And then 1 here, 1 here. Can you use these two parentheses to get 2x? Can you? I don't think so. You can, if you change the sign. If you put 4x here, minus x is going to be 3x. It's going to be 2x. So you can't do anything. What's the other method if you can't use this one? Quadratic formula. You can try it, but I don't think so. You're going to solve it right away. You have to use a quadratic formula. Okay? Is that okay? Quadratic formula, you can say A equal 4, B equal 2, and C equal 1. And the formula is X equal negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C divided by 2 times A. Okay, so far? Let's just plug in. That means x is going to be equal negative. How much the value of b into give me negative 2. Plus or minus square root of 2 squared minus 4 times a is 4 times c is 1. Everything divided by 2 times. That means the value of x is going to be negative 2 plus or minus this. Simplify everything here. This is 4 minus what? 16, okay, over 8. X equal negative 2 plus or minus square root of negative 12 divided by 8. Can you simplify it more? What's the square root of negative 12? So first of all, have even root, the sign is going to be what? Imaginary number. It's the only first thing I know. Okay. Now, how I'm going to find the root for 12? Without using calculator. Okay, with the calculator, it's fine. No, it's fine. You can use it. But always try to do like math without calculator. So what I'm doing, always I do that. 12, if you divide it by 2, it's going to be what? By 2. 3, you can divide it only by, no, you finish. Square root, so every 2 numbers, you can consider only 1. And the left by itself, keep it under the root. Okay, that's it. This is the root. So now I'm going to go back, x equal negative 2 plus or minus 2. Don't forget the I. So 2 square root of 3, and here is the I. Okay, over 8. Can we simplify it more? Is the 8 is the denominator for both these numbers? The 8 is the denominator for here and here. So can I write down as a negative 2 over 8 plus or minus 2 square 3 square root of 3? Is that okay? So far? Why I did that?
Let's simplify.
Yeah, so I can simplify because the 8 is the denominator for everything under the line here. Okay. Now 2 with the 8 is going to be what? Negative 1 over 4. Yes. Careful the 4 and the bottom. Plus or minus the same thing here. 2 with the 8. So it's going to be 4 here, right? What's the left on the top? How many solutions do you have here? 2 solutions. How many solutions do you have here? On this side, you got 1 solution. From here, we got 2 solutions. Check. It's a cubed. I told you when it's a cube, the maximum number of solutions is going to be 3. Could be 2, could be 1, could be none. Is that okay? Any questions so far? So now this another type of equations. But when you look to the board, look to this term or look to this term, what do you see?
You need the denominator to be the same.
Kind of, but this type of equations right down here on the top is rational equations. Right down on the top, you have the notes. I give you the notes, write down on it because you're going to use it. Write down here before you start rational equations. Did they say that? Oh, you said that. Okay. They say they're going to solve the rational equations. You have to keep in your mind how it look like the rational equations. Like this part. Nanometer, okay, like this. like a fraction, but there is a variable here. So the first thing when you have, how are we gonna solve it? We have to look for the least common denominator, because the problem is here with the denominator. We can't solve it in the regular ways. We have to cancel the x minus 1, x plus 1, x plus 1. So in this case, we have to look to the least common denominator. So you tell me how we're gonna find that? The least common denominator. Check here. These are the same, right? So I'm gonna say, I put x plus 1, because these are the same. These are different, right? I'm gonna put here x minus 1. Is that hard? So when you have the same denominator, I'm gonna write down only one. Okay? This is different, so I'm gonna write down the different one. Is that okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply everything here by the least common, everything by the least common denominator. So let's check how it's gonna be. So here is the first term, which is 1 over x minus 1. I'm going to multiply it by the least common denominator, which is times what? X plus 1, x minus 1. Is that okay? Only this term. Don't forget, here is the minus. So minus, the second term is 2x over x plus 1. Times what? X plus 1, x minus 1. Is that okay so far? Where is the equal sign? This term now this term is equal to over x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 1 and x minus 1. Is that okay? Any questions so far? Now let's see what's the purpose of doing that. So if you look here, can I cancel this one with this one? What's the left from this part?
1 over x plus 1.
Oh,
1 times x.
1 times this one. 1 times any number is, so the left from this one is just x plus 1. Yes or no? Yes or no? Minus. For the second one, can I cancel this one with this one? What's the left?
2x times x minus 1.
2x times x minus 1. Okay, so far? Yes or no? The third one, which is here the equal sign, cancel this one. This one. What's the left? 2
Times x minus 1.
Now tell me, is that okay so far? For the first term, do I have to write down the parentheses? Yeah, I have to write down, but no, because there is no number here to distribute. What about the second one? We have to distribute. Here we have so x plus 1, negative 2x times x, 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 1. Okay, equal. 2 times x,
2x plus
2 times negative 1, negative 2. Now tell me, when I multiply by the least common denominator, what happened? Here is the original equations. When I multiply everything by the least common denominator, check to the result. Do you have denominator on the result? No, there's no denominator on the result, which is here, right? So that's the purpose when you're multiplying rational equations by the least common denominator. The result is going to be after this step is just quadratic or linear. Now in this case, what do I have? Squared, that's mean 100%. The result after I simplify this step is going to be quadratic equations, which is I can solve it by factoring or by quadratic formula. We already learned how we're gonna solve the quadratic, how we solve quadratic equations. So now after that, I have to move because the highest exponent is square. So I have to move everything to one side and make the other side equal 0 and combine the like terms. So before that, can I combine like terms? I have x with 2x, 3x plus 1, don't forget the 1 here, minus 2x squared equal what? 2x minus 2. Now tell me what I have to do next.
Add 2,
You want to move which one?
the whole thing.
You want to move this one? Here. So I'm going to say what? Minus 2x from here, minus 2x from here, right? I need to move these two numbers to this side. Now, next step, I'm going to say what? Add 2, and I'm going to add 2 here. Is that okay so far? So this cancel, this cancel. So this side is going to be what? 0. Equal. Here is going to be x plus a 3 minus 2x squared equals 0. Now tell me how I'm gonna, what's the next step?
Arrange them.
Perfect. Because quadratic formula, quadratic equations, the general form always what? Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So I have to write down this squared x and the number by itself. So I can factor it. So what's the first number is going to be?
-2x squared.
Yes, be careful with the sign. The sign of 2x squared is negative. So it's going to be negative 2x squared plus x plus 3 equal. Okay, so far? Now, can we factor this one? You can do it with a pen. I can do it just by looking. I have to use the pencil. Okay. So open two parentheses and tell me, can you factor it? Then open two parentheses. Equals 0.
Yes, I see.
Now look to the side. What I'm going to do? What's the factor of 2?
2.
1 and 2. What's the factor of 3? 1 and 3. So that's the option I can use. That's the only option. So what I have to write down here, I'm gonna say negative 2x here. I'm gonna put x here, right? And for the 3, write down 3 here and write down 1 here. Is that okay? Now the result should be what? Positive x. What I'm gonna put here? Positive and here. Positive and positive. Of course, you can change the sign, it's up to you. But now, this is gonna work, let's check. So if I say 3 times x, 3x, negative 2 times 1, negative 2x, right? Combine these together is going to be what? Is that the right? Our next step is going to be what? The first parentheses, negative 2x plus 3 equals 0. Solve this one. Minus 3 from both sides. Cancel here. So negative 2x is going to be equal to negative 3, then divided by negative 2. X is going to be equal 3 over 2. The other parentheses or x plus 1 equals 0 minus 1 from both sides. X is going to be equal. How many things do we have? What we have to do when we find the solution? You have to plug in. Now let's go back. Which one is going to be solution? Which one is going to be not? Which one is going to be? I have to think quick. Which one is going to be a solution? Which one is going to be not?
Number 2.
How are you going to check it's a solution or not? These are the solutions, right? How are you going to check x equal a number? It's a solution. You have to plug in the original, right? So I'm not going to start with the 3/2. Keep 3/2 on the side. Let's look to -1, right? I'm going to focus only on this part. If I plug in -1 here, -1 plus 1, 0. Any number divide by 0. No, don't tell me that. This is the second time. Undefined. Any number. Because when you plug in -1 here, -1 plus 1 is going to be 0. 2 divided by 0, undefined. This case, this side is undefined. Here is going to be undefined too. So that means this one is not a solution. Okay? This one 100% is going to be a solution. You got it? Number 4, we're going to do the first steps and you're going to finish the rest. 2 x plus 3 minus 2 over x squared 2x minus 3 x over x minus 1. Now tell me how we're gonna solve this one. First of all, it's a rational. Yes or no? It's a rational. So the first thing we're gonna think about is the least common denominator. Check here. What's the least common denominator? What do you think?
3 times x minus 1.
Why you didn't pick this one?
Quadratic equation.
It's a quadratic. So why you didn't pick it?
The result of 2.
Kind of, but okay. But why didn't pick it as a least common denominator? There is a reason. So I'm gonna show you. Remember on the previous example, I told you these are the same, so we picked only one, and the other one I put it here, right? As a least common denominator. Now, these are not the same. So okay, I'm going to choose this common denominator at the beginning, x minus 1, and the other one is what? But I'm gonna look for this one. I say, okay, why I didn't choose this one as a least common denominator? Let's check. Always check that. So I'm gonna say 2 over x plus 3 minus 2 over. Can I factor this one? X over x minus 1. These are quadratic, as he said. The denominator here is quadratic. I'm gonna check, can I factor it? Yes, which is x, and what else? 3, 1, 1 plus, minus. If you FOIL this one, you're gonna go back here. Now, check these two parentheses. Is the same thing here? So that's why we're not gonna pick the whole thing. Right when you said it's a quadratic, let's try to factor it, and you will see we're gonna pick only the similar parentheses. So this is the first one, these two is going to be here. Is that okay? That means we have to multiply by what? 2 over x plus 3 times what? X minus 1 x plus 3. This is the first part. Minus 2 over x plus 3 x minus 1 times what? X minus 1 and x plus 3. And then the last one is going to be 3x over x minus 1, x minus 1, x plus. Is that okay so far? Can I cancel this one with this one? Left is 2x minus 1 minus. These two parentheses cancel with these two. What's the left? Only 2. Equal what? Cancel, cancel. What's the left?
Times x plus
3x, x plus. Now what we're gonna do here? Distribute here. 2 times x, 2 times 1 is minus 2. 3x. 3x times x. 3x times 3. Is that okay so far? Combine these two terms, like terms, so it's going to be minus 4, 3x squared plus 9x. Next step, it's a quadratic formula, you see? So I'm going to move everything to the other side. I'm going to say minus 2x, and here's plus 4, and here is minus 2x, and I'm going to add the 4 here. So this side will be 0 equal what? 3x squared
7 plus 4.
plus 7x plus 4. Now, okay, so far? Okay, now next step, we have to factor. Who's gonna factor? Right. Open 2 parentheses. And try to factor all. You solve it. Trying. So tell me. Okay, let's check it. 3. What's the factor of 3?
1 and 2,
3.
1 and 3. So only one option. 4.
4 and 2 and 2.
1 and 4 and 2 and 2. Let's start with the first two options. 1 and 3 and 1 4. And our goal is to get 7. So we can. I'm gonna say 3x, x. I'm gonna say 4 and 1. Okay. So 4x, 3x, combine this together is going to be what? That means I have to put what? Okay.
Why do I just multiply
Like what?
3 and 4 and you get 12 and you get the factors of 12 and then you see whatever adds up to the 7x?
Like multiply this one with this one. It's going to be what? To check if this is the right option. So 4 times x, 4x. Okay? And 3 times 1. When you add these together, it's going to be what? 7x, which is the middle term. So this is the right option. Okay? So now the solution is going to be 0 equals 3x plus 4. You can solve this one, or 0 equal what? It's a plus 1. Minus 1 from both sides. Here x is going to be equal negative 1. What about this one? Minus 4 minus 4. Negative 4 equal 3x. Divide by 3. What's the value of x?
4.
Okay. Let's check. -1. It's okay here. It's okay here. It's okay here. -1. You see? It's not gonna make because you have to check this solution. The only number you can't be a solution. Solve this one. This is the least common denominator, right? So before I start, I need to know which numbers can't be a solution. Which numbers can't be a solution. So is that what you picked, the least common denominator? Yes or no? I'm gonna say x minus 1 not equal 0. Add 1. So x is going to be equal 1. Not equal. So every time, if I got 1 on the solution, it's not going to be a solution, right? Because when you plug in 1 here, 1 minus 1, 0. Any number divided by 0 and define. That means if I solve the problem and one of my solutions is 1, I'm going to cancel it right away. Is that okay? What else? She's lost. So here's, look here. You solve the problem. You got these. How are we gonna check these as solutions? You're gonna plug in the original, okay? Before I solve the problem, before I'm doing any steps, I picked the least common denominator, right? And I know these are the least common denominator. I multiplied with the rational equations to simplify it. I'm gonna take the parentheses with the least common denominator, both, and say not equal to the 0. Solve this one. X cannot be equal to -3. Is that okay? So cannot be equal to -3. And x cannot be equal to 1. So I know if one of these numbers became a solution, I'm gonna cancel it. So imagine here, if you got x equal -3, for example, -3 can't be a solution. Why? Because when you plug in -3 here, -3 plus 3, 0. Any number divided by 0 and define. I already checked. -3 cannot be a solution. So I'm gonna cancel it. You got it? Just an example. You can do the same thing with this example.
But -1 is still a solution though, right?
-1 is still a solution, yeah. But I'm just showing you if one of these solutions get x equal -3, I'm gonna cancel it right away. Why? Because x cannot be equal to -3. Why? Because when I'm plugging -3 here, it's going to be undefined. The same thing, if you got here x equal 1, 1 cannot be a solution. Because when I plug in 1 here, 1 minus 1, 0, any number divided by 0 and define. So 1 and -3 cannot be a solution, okay? Now next part, from these equations, we're gonna learn 3 rules. When we have absolute value equations, these are really important. You have the notes, I think. So check here. Well, always when you, what's that? Absolute value. When we have absolute value equal a number. So every time when they give you equations, you have to simplify it in a way that absolute value on one side and the number on the other side. So always you have to simplify it and write it down in this form. Is that okay? And now based on that form, we have 3 steps to check. If the value of k here, the value of k here, if it's greater than 0, what's that mean? What does that mean? A number greater than 0? Positive number. So if it's a positive number, the original equations, you're just gonna say u equal k and u equal -k. Is that okay? We're gonna do an example. Is that okay so far? Now, if k equals 0, I mean the number here is 0. the solution is going to be equal. Is that okay? If k less than 0, which is the negative number, what are you going to do? No solution. We're going to do an example to see how this rule is going to work. We want to follow the rules. So now we have all the rules on this side, and we're trying to use one of these rules to solve this example. Now tell me, is the absolute value, don't look to everything inside. I'm looking to the absolute value. Absolute value here is the absolute value here. I don't care about what exists inside. The absolute value equal k. This is the value of k. I'm gonna say this is the absolute value of u, and this is k. Now k is greater than or equal or less than 0.
Greater than.
It's a positive. So k is positive. That means u is going to be equal k, and u equal is going to be negative k. What is the value of u? 2x minus 1. So I'm going to say that means 2x minus 1 equal k, which is the positive. That means 5, or what else? 2x minus 1 equal what? Negative 5. Is that okay? Is that okay so far? Now just solve each one separate. That's it. Solve this one and add 1. So it's going to be 2x equals 6. Divide by 2. That's equal what? Is that okay? And solve the other side. You're going to add 1. So 2x equal negative 4. Divide by 2. X equal negative 2. So far. Now, what about the next one? How are you going to solve it? Oh, the first step, you have to make sure the absolute value by itself.
The what?
The absolute value, which is the 2 line. You see? Because that's the general form. The 2 line on one side, everything on the other side.
Move everything.
So move everything to the other side. So what's the first step I have to move?
Check 1.
Perfect. So the first thing I have to move, because there's multiplication here. So I have to say minus 1 from both sides. Minus 1, minus 1. So it'll be 2. The absolute value of x minus 4 equal what? 6. Next step,
By 2.
divided by 2. So I'm going to divide this one by 2. This one by 2. What's the left? So the left is the absolute value of x minus 4 equal 3. Now, which case you're going to use to solve it? The first one, because equal 3. Did I do mistakes?
Oh, no. Sorry. I read it wrong.
So the first case, that's mean x minus 4 equal 3, or what? X minus 4 equal negative 3. I'm gonna add 4 here. So x is going to be equal 7. I'm gonna add 4 here. So x is going to be equal 1. That's it. Okay. Is that okay so far? Example 7. Now, example 8. So, example 8 first. Example 8, it says solve the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 0. Which case similar to this one? 1 or 2 or 3? Similar to case 2. So case 2 says what? If the absolute value equal this one, that means u equal 0. Let me see case 2 here. I did something wrong because,
The formula.
yeah, I add here just a k. There's no absolute value on the other side. So that's mean here is going to be what? X plus 2 equals 0. So minus 2 from both sides. So x is going to be equal. What about example 7? Example 7, no solution. Because why? Because it says negative. Because it's x plus 2 equal negative 3, which is similar to case 3. When k is negative, so that means just go ahead and write down no solution.
We didn't even try to solve it, but no solution.
No solution. You don't have to try to solve it. You're gonna just choose no solution. Even if you get an Alex example, you can choose no solution. Now, we got, based on these, let's add one more case. Let's name it case 4. Case 4, what about if we have like this? You flip the page, it's telling you case 4, but they switch K with the W. I don't know why they switch it. But if you have absolute value on both sides, okay? Let's keep it as a K. If you have on both sides, so in this case, the solution is going to be like absolute value. So it's going to be u equal K or u equal negative K. Okay. Example, you can put it here.
On that number 4, there's gonna be 2 answers.
Give me 2 answers, yes. So number 9, the absolute value of 3x minus 1 over absolute value of x plus. Okay, so that's what it says, and yes, you're gonna get 2 answers. So the rule number 4 says what? That means u equal k. I'm gonna say 3x minus 1 equal
X plus 5.
x plus 5, or 3x minus 1 equal
Negative X.
negative. I'm going to put parentheses. It's a plus 5. I'm going to consider the whole thing here is k. Okay, so negative k is going to be negative. Put parentheses. You have to put parentheses. Not no mistakes. How are we going to solve this one? Minus x from both sides. It's going to be 2x minus 1 equal 5, then add 1. 2x equal 6, divide by 2. X is going to be equal. Here it's going to be 3x minus 1 equal, distribute the negative sign. I don't know. Add 1. 3x equal negative x minus 4. Move the x. 4x equal 4 divided by 4. Okay. We come from the second type. The steps, it says what? The first step says isolate the radical in the whole thing.
Equation has more than one radical, choose one of the radicals to
To isolate. So if the equations have more than one radical, so you have more than one radical, you have only one. So I have to make sure to keep this radical by itself on one side. Like the same thing when we did with the absolute value. This one. You have to keep the absolute value by itself. So we moved the 1, we divided by 2, and now the absolute value by itself. So I'm going to do the same thing to keep the radical by itself, which is what I'm going to do now. So just minus 3 from both sides. And so here, the left from this side is x minus 1 equal x minus 3. So, okay, so far? Now, next step, what is it telling you?
Raise each side of the equation to a power equal to the index of the radical.
Okay, how much the index of this radical? 2. Why is 2? The square root is the smallest root is 2. So they're telling you raise both sides to the index of the radical, which is the index here is 2. So I'm gonna raise this side to the 2 and raise this side to. Is that okay? Next step, we're gonna cancel the radical with this 2. That's the purpose of raising both sides to power 2. What's the left here?
Minus 1,
Equal.
minus 3.
Was that easier to solve? What's the next step you're gonna do?
You're gonna multiply.
That's been FOIL. That's I'm gonna say you can write down like this. It's easier. Can I do that?
Yes.
Now you're gonna FOIL this one. X times x. So x minus 1 is going to be equal x times x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus. Is that okay so far? Next step, combine back terms. So x minus 1 is going to be equal. There's the x squared, negative 3, negative 6x plus 9. Okay. Next step, it's quadratic. That means I'm going to move everything to one side. So I'm going to move these two numbers to the other side. Let's say minus x, I'm going to add 1, add 1. This is going to be 0, 1, x squared minus 7x as well. Can you factor this one? Try it. Can we factor it? I don't know. Can you factor it? Like it's the same way. There's no number here, which is cool. Now 10, we're gonna put 10, 110, and you can tell which option give you 7. 2 or 5. So I'm gonna say 0 equal, open two parentheses, x. I'm gonna write down minus minus. Is that okay? That's it. How many solutions? So it's going to be 0 equal x minus 5 or 0 equal x minus 2. At 5, if x equal 5, add 2, x is going to be equal to 2. How do we go from this one? You can't isolate the radical by itself because we have two radicals. So we have to choose one to keep it on one side. And based on that, you're gonna raise both sides. Now, I have already radical here on this side. So in this case, I'm going to raise both sides right away to the power of this radical, which is 2. So because the power here, so I'm gonna, this radical is already on one side. I don't have to move this one here and move this one here. So I'm just going to go ahead and raise both sides to the power of this radical. And let's see what's going to happen. Of course, this one is going to cancel with this one. So the left here is 1 minus x equal what? That's the important part. We're going to do exactly the same thing what we did here. Remember, I wrote down two parentheses? Now the parentheses is 2 plus this radical times 2 plus this radical. Okay? See, that's the difference. And you're going to do the same thing on the previous example. Check what's going to happen. Believe me, it's going to be funny here because you're going to do it twice. So FOIL this one, 1 minus 2x equal what?
Plus
So 2 times 2, 4, okay? 2 times the radical,
2.
just write it down like this. 2 times the radical. The radicals times 2, so here's 2, here's the radical. Can I do that? Yes or no? Radical times radical.
Radical.
Radical with the 2.
But radical with the 2 is going to cancel.
So just one.
So everything without radical. Radical times radical is going to be plus 1 minus x. Here it says on the side. It looks like you're multiplying square root of x times square root of x. It's going to be x. Okay? Is that okay? Why? Why is it going to be x?
That's square root.
Because here it's a square root, x times x, x squared. The radical cancel with the x, so the left x. Is that okay? With us?
Yeah, I was writing something down. I don't.
Any questions so far? Now, what's the next step? Combine like terms. Where is the like terms? 1 minus 2x equal 4 with the 1, 5 minus x. I'm going to bring the x here. 2 plus 2, 4, and here's the radical. Is that okay? Yes. And no, These two radicals became 4. Let's go back here. When you add in, not multiplying, when you have 2 square root of x plus 3 square root of x, 2 plus 3, 5 square root of x. Is that okay? It looks like you're doing 2x plus 3x. 2 plus 3, 5x. You got the point? So the same thing with the radical. Radical, we're gonna keep it the same. 2 plus 2, 4. Now what's the next step? Look to the example. We start with 2 radicals, right?
Bring the left side to the right,
Get rid of the radical.
or you get rid of the,
So what I have to do?
With the radical.
Bring which side? Why?
Bring the radical by itself.
Perfect. Because you have now, what do you have now? You have only 1 radical. Yes, we start with 2 radicals, simplify it. Now we have only 1 radical. Now I'm going to go back again and isolate this radical by itself. So first of all, I have to move these 2 numbers to this side. So I'm going to say minus 5 and add x. So now 1 minus 5, negative 4 minus x, negative 2 plus 1, negative x equal what? Equal 4 with the radical. And tell me what's the next step?
4 out of there.
you
How?
gotta square it. Make them both radical.
Now what I'm going to do, if you divide both sides by 4, you're going to get negative 1 over 4x. It's kind of like fraction. We hate to work with a fraction. But can I erase both sides right away? To the power 2, can I square both sides? So I'm going to square negative 4 minus x here. I can square 4 the radical. See what we're gonna get. So on the first side, which is what we have, negative 4 minus x squared. Again. Or what? 4 squared and the radical squared.
Or 1 less.
Okay.
I thought I was supposed to foil it.
What?
I thought I was supposed to foil it.
Foil which one? This one?
The one on the left.
The one on the left, I didn't foil it. I'm going to foil it now.
Okay.
I just write it down twice. I'm going to foil it now. Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Negative 4 times negative x. So plus x. That's 4x. Negative x, so plus again 4x. Plus x squared. Equals 16 times 1, 16. 16 times x. Okay. Now what do you have to do? I got time. What do you have to do next? Move everything to, or combine here. 15 plus 8x plus x squared equal what? I just combine these together and move everything to one side. You're gonna say minus 16, right? Cancel from here, cancel from here. Left is 8x plus x squared equal what? Is that okay? Gonna keep going. Combine these together, move the 16 here. So you're gonna add 16x. So here is going to be 24x plus x squared equal 0. We'll write down the highest exponent first. Equal 0. Is that okay? Now, how are we gonna solve this one? It's a quadratic with only 2 terms. How are we gonna solve it? How are we gonna solve this one? It's 2 terms and it's quadratic. What's the first thing? It's factoring, right? But what's the first thing when you do factoring?
Greatest common.
That's it. You have a greatest common, which is
1.
no. 1 is right, but 1 is not going to change anything. No, there's no 4 here. What's the common between x squared and x? So x, what's the left? X 24 equals 0. Now we have 2 solutions. X equals 0 or x plus 24 equals 0. Negative 24 for both sides. So x is going to be negative 24. Okay. Now tell me, the question is, which one is going to be the solution? Now when x equals 0, because we have to plug it in the original equations, and we have to get 2 equal sides. So check, always you have to check your solution by plugging here. When you plug in 0 here, negative 2 times 0, 0. 1 minus 0, 1. Square root of 1. So I get this side equal 1, right? Plug in 0 here. 1 minus 0, 1. Square root of 1, 1. 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3. 1 equal 3? No, so that means this is not a solution. Go ahead, check the 24. This one is going to work. So always you have to check the solution. Because when you're doing the test on Alex, no one's going to tell you. You're just going to submit the answer. And how you know it's going to be right or wrong? Maybe you did everything right. And you reach the point you got 2 solutions. It's still right. Because when you plug in your answer, you're going to put 0 and you're going to put negative 24. And what's going to tell you? Going to give you 0. The questions, right? But you did everything right. Only except one step. You didn't check the solutions. So go ahead again. Check the solutions to make sure you have 2 equal sides. 24, 100% is going to work. That means the only solution is going to be negative 24.